when you are eating something that's highly processed and you read the ingredients of so many products and you don't know what they are. There's words there, but you don't know what they mean. We're supposed to eat food, and it's very simple to understand what food is. And food isn't a magic cocktail of chemicals that are added together that taste like something. You should be eating the real thing that does taste like that, and not the chemicals.
For the most part, we're kind of inherently taught to trust the system, and that large-scale farming, the green revolution, the industrial farming model is more efficient, it makes food cheaper, and therefore it's better. But in reality,
that's the secret of a market-based economy. A market economy is supply and demand. And if we're so stupid enough to keep consuming things that are killing us, things that are oppressing us, things that are hurting the earth, then it's not gonna ever change, right?
So the word accessible is very important, because either you can make good food accessible or you can make bad food accessible. And the majority of what you see around here is bad food.
So you have this big old clustered history in Indianapolis. And so I live on the west side of that town where it wasn't ever wealthy. And it wasn't ever very elite. And so that neighborhood has a history of high levels of asbestos, high levels of asthma, the lowest life expectancy rate of white, black, or Latinos in the city. Things like rates of heart attack and cancer and violence and drugs are much higher, crime rates and so forth. That environment doesn't have a lot of banks that are community controlled, or what we call credit unions. It doesn't have a lot of quality whole foods, healthy food stores. Why doesn't it? Well, the answer is because those things cost money. And we know what drives our economic system is consumption. So if you don't put money in a bank, you don't buy new cars, then of course those institutions aren't gonna come to that part of town. Bookstores, all of those things are absent. What we do have is 3 Taco Bells within like 2 or 3 miles, 7 or 8 check cashing places, an abundance of liquor stores on every fucking block, tobacco readily available to anyone on any corner.
Over here on the Near East Side, there are like 40,000 residents who don't have access to a full-service grocery store.
I remember there's a gas station down the street that I stopped in a year or 2 ago, and it was totally like, it served as a grocery store for the neighborhood, but it was like the most horrendous example of a grocery store.
the inner aisles of the grocery store are the cheapest food, and that's because of farm subsidies. There's sugar and high fructose corn syrup in everything.
High fructose corn syrup it's a kind of liquid that comes in your food. Yeah, it's bad. That's all I know. It's bad.
I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna attempt to answer.
It's the devil, man. It's in every type of food there is.
Isn't it like a sugar?
It's a type of sugar that's in food.
Well, that's the thing, like in Pops. I think there's a little bit in some energy drinks.
Well, I don't know.
Wouldn't it be like a liquid?
I think that's sugar. Sugar.
It's sugar.
I do not know what that is.
I know it's in the foods, but I really wouldn't know how to tell you.
I don't know, syrup you put in like pancakes or something. That is gross.
I don't know.
Fat.
It comes from corn, so they extract the corn and then they add it into other products such as cereals, really cheap food, which is really not good for everybody to consume.
Usually food companies will just use it to replace more expensive ingredients, and so it's kind of gross because they're giving us bad things just because they want to save some money. So
it would be really interesting to see in a fair market where there are no subsidies from the government, you know, which is cheaper? Is it a locally produced organic food, or is it someplace else that's being shipped in from, you know, hundreds or thousands of miles away?
We believe that there's a distinct difference between mass-produced, you know, commercial food products and food products that are grown by family farms.
It's healthier for you. It's got a lot more nutrients in it. Vegetables and fruits, their nutrient content decreases the minute they're harvested. So the sooner you eat it after, you know, post-harvest, the more nutrients you are consuming.
Learning how fresh foods can aid in health-related issues like gluten-free, diabetes, all of these fresh foods are the answer.
Many times I hear, well, what can, you know, a poor inner city family do? They don't have access to the farmers markets. They don't have access to the food that you're talking about. What can they do? Hey, groups like Slow Food and many other groups around this city help people build community gardens. If you can't afford to buy the food, grow your own food. There are many sources here that can help you start a community garden, get growing, take the advantage of it. There are so many health benefits to not only eating the fresh food, but growing the fresh food. I mean, you get the physical exercise of working in the garden. It's great for people to reconnect to the soil and learn where their food comes from. When you do that, it really enhances the entire experience, and it literally provides food for pennies.
The greatest advantage I feel like I have as the market manager, and what I derive from that as an experience, is seeing the people come with their families, knowing that when they leave, whether they be the CEO of an organization or whether they be a family of individuals who are bringing their WIC vouchers, I know that they're taking home some incredible food today, and they're going to prepare that for dinner that night or later that week, and they're going to get some wonderful produce, and I hope they come back again.
One thing that's beautiful about the human body as well as our mind is that we can change. We can reproduce, we can regenerate.
We say more with our money than we do with anything else. I have several friends who are like, I believe in this, and then you watch them go buy something, you're like going, but that company doesn't support anything you believe in. So I think if we think about it one purchase at a time, we can make a difference.
I wholeheartedly believe that we vote with our fork every time we eat. Every time you spend money with a local farmer, you're enhancing that farming operation in your community. Every time you spend money with a mass-produced food product, you are enhancing the corporate profits that filter down to who knows where. Spend your money so that you're investing in your food future. And every time you use your fork, you're making that choice.
So the idea of space and making a place in that space that nurtures and forms a community that's more beautiful, that resists against all of these ideas that have us in the predicament that we're in right now, can't be identified or addressed by just providing cheap food for people. They have to actually sweat together, buy land together, pull weeds together, break bread together, so that you don't have to just buy it at a certain price, but people put together the means of production to even produce the food, so once it's produced, they don't have to sell it.